Why do some players get better faster than others? Well, the secret is super simple. I'm going to explain it to you right now and teach you how you can use it to get better than all the rest of your competition right now. It all starts with this chart right here, where we have skill on the y-axis, how good you are at something. We have time on the x-axis, which is how much time passes as we get better at something. And then we have these two lines here. Okay, these are two very, very important lines, and the reason that they're so important is because truly, if we look at it from a math perspective, the slope is the rate of skill development. The slope is how steep it is, how quickly our rate of skill is developing. Now, this is super, super important. And when we look at this, you can see that this person right up here, they're super high on skill in a relatively short amount of time. This person right over here, they're not that good, even though they've spent a ton of time working on it. I'm gonna help you to be this person and not this person. I'm gonna break down exactly how that works. So I got this chart from a guy named Ray Dalio. He has a book called Principles, and I've slightly modified some of it. But really, the big point of this is that it doesn't have to take that long to get pretty good at something. The way that you get good at something is through doing these little loops. Now we call these feedback loops. So you might ask, well, what's inside of the loop? Well, let me explain it to you. When we actually zoom into these loops, there's 5 key pieces of what it actually is. So the first thing that we actually need to do is take an action. Once we do that action, then we want to review, what did we do well? What do we want to do better? How are we going to do it better? And then we're going to set a new goal. This is super simple, but if you actually get this, it will change your life because you will be a faster learner, which means that you'll outgrow everyone. And in fact, just to double down on this point, if you've ever heard of Y Combinator, they're a business accelerator. You might have heard of some of the companies that came through there, like Stripe and Airbnb and Uber, many of the biggest companies in the world. And Y Combinator says, don't focus on anything except being the fastest iterating company. If you can do 5 loops every single day where you take an action, you look at what was good, what to improve, how do we do it? And then you set a goal and then take another action, which then goes here. If you can do 5 of those a day and your competitor can only do 1 a week, at the end of a week, it's 35 to 1. At the end of 2 weeks, it's 70 to 2. At the end of a month, it's 140. And you can see how in real time this creates a massive gap between companies. Well, this is the same thing that's true for skill development and skill acquisition. And so when we double click and we look into these feedback loops, we have to look at it and say, okay, well, how do we actually do this? Where are these feedback loops coming from? Well, let me break it down. The first place that we're going to get feedback loops is literally from our body, or kinesthetic feedback. That's when someone says, that didn't feel right, or ooh, that felt great. That's kinesthetic feedback. That's your body telling you, giving you feedback in real time. That felt good, that didn't feel good. Okay, so we want more feedback loops kinesthetically with our feel that then are helping us to develop. Another great place to get feedback from is video. You can literally look at yourself do something, and then as long as you know what good looks like and how to fix it to make it look more like good, then you can use video to give you a very real-time feedback on what exactly you're doing. And a third way that you can get feedback loops is from a coach. Even better if that coach is using video to teach you what good looks like and giving you the plan on how to get better. Pretty crazy. And another super important way to get feedback loops is reps. Because if you look at the beginning of every piece of feedback, there is an action. There is a rep that is taken. And this is why when you see players that go to an in-person coach 1 time a week and don't practice throughout the rest of the week, or even if they do practice, but they're not getting feedback throughout the rest of the week, that's why they don't develop as much as other people who are practicing consistently. In an online training program, like the Complete Catcher Protocol, you're getting the right plan with the right practice, with the right feedback from a coach who has done the thing himself and helped other people to do the thing. And all of a sudden, you start practicing really consistently, you take lots of actions, you video yourself, you get feedback from a coach, you're learning what it feels like to do it right versus do it wrong. In not that long of a time, you can make dramatic jumps. And it's not magic, it's literally just math. If you look at it and your goal is to get better quickly, what you need is to take lots of actions and get lots of feedback. One other thing that I didn't mention about this that I think is really important is when we look at this, some of the big differences are the distance between feedback loops, again, once a week or every day or a few times every day. When we're working on a movement problem, you have to do it more consistently. And most of the problems that most catchers have are movement problems. It's not until you solve your movement problems that you really need to work on decisions and your training environment and all that kind of stuff. Even college guys that I work with, they still have movement problems. We got to clean up your movement problems, and then we got to get you in good training environments to actually help you make better decisions. So we need tighter space between the loops, and we need tighter loops themselves. And in fact, most people don't even close the loop. I bet if we looked at it like this, it's probably just a lot of people just going like this. Maybe every once in a while they close a loop, but they're not actively practicing. There's no deliberate practice. There's like, they go and they just do random stuff, and then they don't reflect on what they did. They don't video themselves. They don't journal after. And all of a sudden, it's been a bunch of time and they haven't gotten any better. Well, it's like, yeah, no wonder. You didn't practice right. You need to have deliberate practice with feedback loops, with video, with journal, reflecting on what you did well, finding the one constraint that is holding you back and solving that problem, and then moving to the next problem, and have a system of how exactly you want to have a process that has some structure behind it, that has a simple path of do this, then this, then this. And up until now, there hasn't been anything like that in catching, but the Complete Catcher Protocol does that perfectly. And if you want an inside look on what it looks like in the Complete Catcher Protocol, then watch this video right here. I'm Coach Bougie. I'll catch you later.